Dancers have a lot to balance. From their pirouettes to their jumps, a dancer's performance is a direct result of hard work and motivation. So where does food fit into this? There's a lot of myths and a ton of antiquated ideals about what a dancer's diet should look like. I'm Rachel Fine, registered dietitian nutritionist and founder of To The Point Nutrition, and I'm here to dispel those. I'd love for you to introduce yourself to everybody who's watching and who's going to tune in later on.
Yes. So I'm Trinity Santoro. I'm currently an apprentice with the American Ballet Theater. And I joined in studio company, I think January 2024, and kind of went through the process there. And right now we're working on our Met season, working with different choreographers. I've been trying to, pick up fast. And luckily, with all my experience before with Kansas City Ballet and even further back with my schools, that has really set me up well for the journey I have ahead of me.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so it's been a fun, exciting journey so far.
Yeah. One of the beautiful things about ABT and with many other companies is that they have this great studio company experience, right? And it really helps. It helps with that transition between school and company life. So now you're going from studio company to apprenticeship.
Yes.
Talk about that transition a little bit for us.
Yeah, so it was definitely something I had to get used to because now you started, 12 dancers or so in the studio company. You guys were doing everything, you had to be in your best shape, full like mindset, learning new choreography, all of that. And then going into apprentice, you're at the bottom of the barrel basically, But it's really cool because you get to see everyone, do these amazing things and knowing that hopefully one day that will be you. So that's kind of that bit of motivation there, that like bit of like, okay, I can do this. But it was really hard at first because, you have to sit and watch and pay attention, stand in the back of the room, like laser focus, like, but you're not doing anything. So it was a little bit different, a little bit challenging. And but now things are picking up because of the Met season. It's going to be a crazy one, but
Oh,
it's
yeah.
going to be very exciting. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm always excited for your Met season. It's always the best time of year.
I'm so excited. It's my first one.
Yes. Oh, that's really exciting. You got to
Mhm.
stock up bananas and coconut water ahead of
Right.
time.
Exactly.
Well, Trinity, talk to us about your relationship with dance and how you feel that it's shifted going from all of these different stages in your training to early career life.
Yes. So I've always found dance in general as like my saving grace. I've had, kind of a tougher upbringing, just with things that have happened in relation to my family.
Mhm.
So it was always like a nice escape for me. Because before that, I did competition dance and didn't really like ballet in the very beginning, but then my teachers encouraged me, like, hey, if you do ballet, this is great for you, So I did that, fell in love with it, lived at the studio basically, did school in the book and then go take class and then come back and like, so that was kind of where it started and where I found my passion. And eventually going into more of a professional world with Kansas City Ballet is when I was, you know, really like, okay, this is it. I'm doing this.
Mhm.
And it was hard because I was in the second company and there's, obviously I wanted to put myself out there, but you have to be respectful, seniority and all of that. Kind of figuring that out for the first time, because when you're in the school, you do soloist things and then, it's different. So that was always something I had to realize. I had to be patient. Um, but for me, ballet has always been, a good thing for me. Like I can't not do ballet. Of course, being on break and like when the whole COVID thing started happening, actually it was more of like I can like relax. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's not my entire world. You know, I can't cling into it. But then once I was able to go back into the studio, I was like, okay, no, this is it. This is right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and a word that really hits home that you
Mhm.
mentioned in a lot of these different instances is patience, right? Having patience with the process
Yes.
of first being in a second company, right? Having the so many opportunities to learn a lot of various roles, even soloist type roles, then shifting to apprenticeship work,
Mhm.
having to really be that patience in the studio, right? And all of that learning. And then also having the patience with yourself for a period like COVID, or for a lot of dancers that are listening that experience, whether it might be injury or just needing like a mindset reshift and having to take some time out of the studio. It sounds like patience is something that you are able to focus on in various
Yes, absolutely.
instances. Share more about that.
Yeah, so, you know, as it happens, during COVID, I gained weight. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I was a student. And so, of course, you know, you're just a person. You're a person studying ballet. And for me, it was a really hard thing for me. Um, and luckily, I had, you know, great support from my teachers, but I knew what I wanted. And I had to be patient with myself. And it really like, you know, the next day you want to look exactly the way you want to do. You want to feel the way you want to
Mm-hmm.
feel. And um, I had to take a step back and was like, no, I have to get this day by day. You know, it's not about that. It's just about me being healthy, me being happy. I can't focus on the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to be patient with
Mm-hmm.
myself, be patient with the process, all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And patience is what also helps dancers really hone in on more sustainable practices, right? Like when it comes to food and when it comes to nutrition, especially when we have patience with the process of like developing supportive habits in our eating,
Yes.
then we're naturally building habits that are going to be sustainable for the long run. You know what I mean? Not just for getting back into the studio,
Right.
right? Or getting us to auditions or getting us to our intensive, but also literally for the
Right.
long run of our
The
dancing.
lifestyle. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm curious to hear when you made a connection between your dancing and your performance and also like food as energy and as fuel.
hmm So I definitely, it fully clicked when I joined Kansas City Ballet because I had a full schedule basically, you know, and I realized, oh, I'm not eating enough. I
Mm-hmm.
feel horrible right now. Or,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I had a big lunch. I can't dance. Like, this feels uncomfortable. So, you know, it was day by day being like, all right, I can't do this right now. That makes me feel like this way. Okay, this makes me feel great. This is a quick pick me up. Like, granola bar, great. Like, moving on like that, you know. Um, but it was a whole learning curve that I didn't realize was that important until that time. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And what you mentioned is probably one of the most common experiences that dancers have in that shift too,
hmm
right? From student to pre-professional to trainee, et cetera, is that shift of realizing, oh, I actually have to like put some thought into this because my schedule is so busy. Our
Yeah.
hunger cues are relatively non-existent when we're dancing so much. So many dancers experience that period of underfueling, unintentional
Yeah.
underfueling,
Yeah.
where you realize like, oh, I have to actually start building some intent into my food choices. And can you share any like go-to snacks that you rely on now for your
Yeah.
schedule?
Yeah. So with ABT schedule, I like even before, I always love the Go Macro bars.
Yeah.
Like they're so good. And sometimes like I'll eat a bite here, put the bar in my bag, and like this could be during a 5 minute break during the rehearsal time. Like it's whenever I'm feeling like I need
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Um, love a good apple. Apples are great. Those are my good snacks. And then I usually for lunch, I my dinner before. So like say this week I made this like tofu broccoli mix with rice and I had a little side of sweet potatoes too, a little
Mhm.
bit.
Mhm.
So I brought that with me. I had enough left over and brought that with me for lunch. It was great. Set well with my stomach.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I got to make a whole other dinner, which actually I like being in the kitchen and making dinners and chicken, rice, vegetables, and always a dessert. Always.
Yeah.
That was this little ice cream
Yeah.
sandwich, oat milk ice cream sandwich. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Yeah, being in the kitchen is not always easy for a lot of dancers just because
Yeah.
of the time and being in the city. There's a lot of spatial constraints that a lot of dancers deal with.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm happy to hear that that's something that you are able to access
Yeah.
and
Yes. Well,
that's
yeah,
that's
because
great.
before I got my own apartment, I was in a dorm and all I
Mm-hmm.
had was a microwave and an air fryer. So
Mm-hmm.
going back to that, that was a hard time for me. A
Yeah.
lot of frozen foods, which didn't always sit well with my stomach. There was a big kitchenette like downstairs, so you would have to bring all of your stuff downstairs and like try and set up, which I rarely did that. Thank God my roommate was willing to share his like stove with me, so I
Mm-hmm.
got to like make proper eggs and toast breakfast kind of thing. But
Mm-hmm.
that time was definitely a struggle for
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, dorm living is definitely another one of the most common challenges, especially
Yes.
that when I work with all my college-aged and pre-professional dancers that are away from home. Not easy navigating food, navigating cafeterias, and not really having any sense of
Right.
control or just acknowledgement or just knowing what might be served can just bring on so much uncertainty for a lot of dancers, and it's challenging.
Right, I understand that completely,
Yeah,
Also,
yeah.
with what I had to do, I had to shop for myself, and like, most dancers have to. So you have to really like know what you're looking at, and sometimes
Mm-hmm.
that's not very clear. So
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
gotcha.
And we see a lot of schools not necessarily have the resources to have full-on nutrition education. That's another huge challenge. So, I would love to hear a bit about how you build balance into your career now, right? Because dance is your career. And it sounds like we said earlier that you are able to utilize patience as a really helpful trait and tool to move through the challenges a lot of this career. But in order to not necessarily fixate too much or to just feel like you have balance in your life, what are some other things that you like to do?
Yeah. Well, I have a boyfriend and my family,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm so grateful for them. Like I call them whenever I can. I call my mom every morning when I walk to the studio. She gives me a little pep talk.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you got this, or like,
Mm-hmm.
how's the weather? You enjoying it, and like, so definitely staying in touch with those people, the very important people to me, and having a good friend group is so important. I feel like this is who you surround yourself with. So kind of making sure that, you know, it's a healthy environment. Your circle. Everyone's, nice, but always having a good friend that you can lean on is really important. And
Yeah.
I love to draw, so I
Yeah.
like to do that at the end of the night sometimes. Definitely doing that. Um, Watching a lot of TV shows, YouTube videos. I
Mm-hmm.
like to unwind that way. So feeling like a normal person,
Yeah.
going on walks, talking to people, just nothing related to dance. It's just normal person thing.
Yes, yes, because dancers are humans first, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
That that's important. And just connection. You know what I mean? Connection
Connect.
is crucial, especially when you're in a city like New York City. I mean, it's so busy, such a hustle bustle, but I
Mhm.
lived there for nearly 10 years and it could feel very alone very quickly if you don't
Yes.
build that inner core of connection, right? So I love
Right.
hearing that that's one of your priorities. That's great.
Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Couldn't live without that. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Well, my final question for you, I asked it for all the dancers who come on here. It's a big one. So, and you've touched on it in ways throughout the whole discussion, but how would you redefine what it means to be the healthy dancer?
Mm, yes. So, a lot of people have this image of a ballerina, and that can look different for everyone, but I know for me, it's what I look like. You know,
Mm-hmm.
a ballerina, that's me. I am a ballerina. So whatever I am doing, whatever I put my mind to, that is the image because that is me.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that I'm working hard 100%. You know, I know I have my flaws, but again, that is the image that I want to be and who I am. So I'm not trying to look at anyone else, compare myself to anyone else because they're doing great. That's their image of a ballerina, and I love that for them. But this is me, so take me as I am, and I'm working hard. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah. I love that, right? It's just you're we're all an individual person.
Mhm.
And when we start comparing, when we start looking at others beyond what is taken as maybe inspirational, right? Like when you're in the studio and you're gaining inspiration
Yeah,
from the elder dancers or those in the more higher up, that's different. It's more of the competitive thoughts and the self-doubt that really spirals from those thoughts.
right, right.
That's when things really tend to build those challenges for dancers. So I love that reminder of just saying, I might look different than the dancer next to me. I might eat differently than the dancer next to me. My body might need different foods, different amounts of food. So it's really important to keep that focus on yourself. I love that you're really helping to share that message. So thank you so much, Trinity. This was
Thank you.
fantastic.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes.
Yeah, it was a pleasure connecting, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.